Hi everyone, it's John from What Up. Welcome back to another video, and just to let you know, I'm recording this entire video again. I just finished recording and realized that my mic was not turned on, so that was a whole lot of wasted time on my part. But I guess it was good practice. So in this video, we have something special for you folks. It's the very first official set picture from Emond's Field. Now I know what you're thinking. They didn't really tell us it was Emond's Field, but I'm pretty darn convinced it's Emond's Field, and I'll let you guys know why as the video progresses. Also, stick around at the end of the video for the community section. We are featuring the Weed of Time podcast. They're a really fun, great podcast, and I'll talk a little bit more about them at the end of this episode. So I've left a link down in the description box down below in case you want to click there right now and see them, or if you're coming back to the video later on, you want to go right to the community section. Alright, so before we start the video, spoiler warning. I will be spoiling everything up to and including the end of Chapter 10 of The Eye of the World, and I'll also talk a little bit about things that happen later on in the books, but mostly just descriptions of villages. So I won't be spoiling any plot arcs, character arcs, storylines, things like that from later on in the book, but I will be spoiling everything up to Chapter 10. So you've been forewarned. Alright everybody, this is it. This is our first look at Emond's Field. It's Emond's Field. We'll get to that in a second. But this is our first real production still. Now we've had that sort of leaked one that came out a few weeks ago that I did a video on. We've also had a video making the rounds currently. That's out of production, but neither one of those are official. This is our first official Wheel of Time on Prime released production still, and it looks fantastic. It's our first chance at looking at some of the costumes, a first chance at looking at Emond's Field, first chance at looking at an action shot, because they're in the middle of filming in this. So now we're going to go through the proof of this Emond's Field. For those of you who don't believe, I'm going to convince you here, and if I don't, well, I tried. So the tree is very important and central to Emond's Field. They talk about, no, I'm just joking. Nobody cares about the tree. Next to it, to the right, you see a wagon, a covered wagon. Now, two things. First thing is when this shot was released, they say it was the first day of filming. So, first day on set, everyone's excited. So this is from back in September. So we know that for sure because Wheel of Time on Prime told us this is the first day on set, first day of filming. So we have that. When they announced the casting of Peta and Fane, Rafe put down as a little addendum in a tweet that how excited he was that he was cast, and that the very first shots they took, the very first scenes that they filmed, were Peta and Fane entering Emond's Field. I really don't need any more evidence other than that, honestly, because if this is the first day of shooting, and they have a covered wagon there, and the first shots they filmed were Peta and Fane coming into Emond's Field, this is the first day of filming, they're not going to film multiple things in the first day. It wouldn't happen. Logistically, it'd be a nightmare for the directors and showrunners to be in multiple locations at one time. So these are the shots they took in the first day. So that's Peta and Fane's wagon. This is Emond's Field. Easy peasy, right? All right, so now we're going to get into the other side of the picture here. There's two shots of this I have here zoomed in, and this gives us two pieces of information, really, to look at. We can see a little bit of the village, and we can see a little bit of the costumes. So if you look at the costumes, and, I mean, it is kind of a grainy, not super high-def shot that they've given us here, and I think that's completely on purpose. They don't want people zooming in and seeing who each individual actor and actress is. Trust me, I've tried. It didn't work out real well. And I've seen other videos of people going through and like just trying to see every little bit. It's hard. There's not much to see when you zoom into this picture because it gets so blurry so quick. But there's some things we can see here. So we see the costumes, and you can tell that everyone in this shot is in an immaculately crafted costume. I mean, they all look like they would look like in Emond's Field, as far as I'm concerned. So you have, the big bulky skirts, and you have the people in, what look to be like the coats and the trousers and stuff, and they're all. I mean, this looks very, and I'm going to say it looks very Monty Python-esque. So, Search for the Holy Grail, that's what this reminds me of. In honest to God, Search for the Holy Grail was one of the most accurate medieval movies, even though it was a big gag fest the whole time, as far as dress and dirt and grime went. And that's kind of what this looks like. This looks, pretty grimy. It doesn't look clean cut. It doesn't look awesome. So if you go back and you take a look at, say, First Knight or Dragonheart or any of those older movies that deal in medieval times, everyone's all shiny and nice. And then you have Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones, people are dirty and gross, and because, They're going to be dirty and gross. I think we're going to see that in the Wheel of Time. They don't look... I mean, the whites and the blues look white and blue, but you can see mud on them, you can see dirt, you can see rumples. It's not perfect, so that's great. Two other things to make note of this particular shot here. To the right, next to the table, is a man standing there, and he has a beard, and he looks broad-shouldered. Who do we know that has a beard and is broad-shouldered? Other than me, of course. Yeah, that's me. No. Marcus Rutherford. Sorry. I can't tell 100% if that's him or not, so I'm not saying it's Perrin, but I'm also not saying it's not Perrin. So, to me, that looks like it could possibly be him. It's hard to tell. It's hard to see. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Am I right? Am I wrong? Am I crazy? Am I seeing things that I want to see? But I think that might be him in that shot, which is pretty amazing. It's pretty cool. Now, the other thing I want to take note of, in the foreground of this picture, you see some people dressed in modern clothing there around some flowers, along with somebody in period clothes as well. Those flowers are pretty important as well. Another little piece of evidence that this is Emond's Field. So, the first shots of the show are when Penanthine comes into the village, and that's during Beltane. Beltane is a celebration in the Two Rivers where they celebrate the coming of spring, the birth of the first lambs, the spreading of new crops, and they do all kinds of different things for that. And one of the things they do is they put flowers in their hair. So they were giving out flowers on the green, which is the center of the village, and passing out flowers, and people would put it in their hair. So there we have a bunch of flowers in the front there. That is another, in my opinion, piece of evidence that this is Emond's Field. All right, so now a little wider angle shot of that last picture that we had zoomed in, and this shows us the houses a little bit more. Now, here's a couple of different things I want to mention. The houses themselves are the same houses we've seen in the village pictures later on. And I'm going to get to them, and we'll cycle through them in a few minutes here. I feature them in another one of my episodes. Now, these houses are not thatched. The Emond's Field houses are thatched. These houses look to have ladders in front of them. I mean, I can see ladders and stuff there. And a lot of people have argued that these houses are Terran Fairy because of the ladders and the stilts. And you can't really see the ladders and stilts too much in this picture here, but they are there in these shots. If you go through the fine-tooth comb, you can see them. I can see a ladder in the front right of this picture, so foreground right. So another inconsistency. A third inconsistency you see here is I don't see the wine spring, I don't see the rivers, and I don't see the three bridges that Emond's Field has, the 2 footbridges and the big bridge for wagons. They should be, I'm going to go back 2 slides here to the main picture, they should be visible in this shot here, if they're there. However, when you film something, post-production happens. I mean, they can put anything CGI in or change anything. And I think that when we look at this village, this is the one we're talking about here, this is the same village. And this same village is not just Emond's Field. So if you look at it, here's some of the houses. It could be the Wine Spring Inn. I've talked about this in one of my other videos. Could also be the Inn in Four Kings. Could also be any generic inn in any village anywhere. And you look here, you see the peddler's wagon. Sorry, we don't know it's a peddler's wagon. We see a wagon covered up by a green tarp in the front, and we see the same houses. So we see the sloping roofs to the ground. We see a bunch of stuff in front of them. And we go back to the first shot. They look like the same houses to me. Now, why is this? Well, when they're filming something like this, Amazon is going to do everything they can to save money. They're not going to build 30 villages. That's crazy. No one does that. They will build one main village, which would be this one here that we see in these shots. And we'll get back to this one here. And then they're going to change it based on what they need to shoot. So that change could be practical pieces, so actual props. It could be new structures. It could be, destroying or getting rid of structures, which we see in this picture here. It looks like to the right, some of the structures have been destroyed, perhaps after the attack on Winter Night. And CG. CG can do pretty much anything. So the wine spring, the river, the 3 footbridges, things like that, although we don't see them in that shot, this doesn't mean that they're not going to be there when we see it on the screen. I think that what they'll do is they'll use CG, amongst other things, to change the villages a whole lot. And they'll use camera angles and practical effects to also change things around. So it looks like a different village, a different setting, a different place every single time. Not only does it save them money, but it saves them a lot of time too, because they don't have to go on a different location. All right, so that's my my take on this particular picture that was released. So I give you my evidence why I think it's Emond's Field, and I don't think anyone's going to convince me otherwise. But feel free to do so in the comments down below if you guys think something different. Let me know what you think this is. Let me know if there's anything in the picture that I've missed. To be fair, there's a ton of stuff I've missed. A ton of stuff that I've seen covered in other videos as well. I didn't really want to get into some of it because my video would be 3 hours long for one picture. But if there's anything I missed, let me know down in the comments down below. I'd love to hear from you. Also, we had our big giveaway at 1,000 subscribers. The What Upper bottle and the What Up t-shirt. It went over great. You guys were fantastic. So the winner did receive her package this morning, and I should have pictures of her with a shirt tomorrow or the next day, and I will feature them in a video coming up soon. So, fantastic. And they're happy with it, so I'm happy. Now, because it was such a great success, I am going to do another giveaway at 2,500 subscribers. So when I hit 2,500 subscribers, I will do another giveaway for a What Upper bottle and a What Up t-shirt, or perhaps some other What Up swag. It depends. We'll let you guys know. I'll put out a couple polls on Twitter, so follow me on Twitter, and we'll decide what we're going to give away. But there will be another giveaway at 2,500. And at the rate we're gaining subscribers, it shouldn't be too long before that happens. All right. Before we get to the community section, I do want to let you know if you do like the video, please click that like button and leave a comment down below. It keeps YouTube metrics happy, and it gives me valuable feedback for this channel. Also, if you haven't already subscribed, please click the subscription button and click that bell for notifications. I put out 2 to 3 videos a week. This week it looks like it'll be 3, and they're not always on the same days. So if you have those notifications on, you'll know when I put them out. All right, on to the community section. Welcome to the community section of the show, everybody. And this week we're featuring the Weed of Time podcast. So I have a little blurb here that they sent me that I'm going to read. And I do want to let you know that the links to their podcast and how to support them is in the description box down below. So please, please, please check them out. They're fantastic. I listen to them and it's a lot of fun. As long as you're not offended too easily, they're fantastic. Now, here we go. So, The Weed of Time is a Wheel of Time fandom podcast in which hosts Shame, Deng, and Nospo get stoned and discuss all things Robert Jordan. The show consists primarily of episodes in which the hosts debate prompts ranging from, do you think Robert Jordan initially placed Morgoses and Matt's assaults in the same book? To, smoke another bowl and try to describe Rand's family tree. I just sit on the couch and eat chips. That's what I do. So these people have one up on me there. To, which character would be the best drag queen? In addition to their regular episodes, the show also features a high history subseries in which the host gets blitzed and gives detailed and often ridiculous biographies of important characters including Arthur Hawking, The Forsaken, and Luz Theron Telamon. The Weed of Time is also a listener-driven show, and the hosts send out their prompts on Twitter before recording each episode. They then discuss their listeners' opinions during episodes. In addition, the hosts often discuss prompts that followers and supporters have suggested on Twitter or Patreon. So whether you're a fantasy nerd, a stoner, or you want an interactive podcast experience, which is something new, you've got unanswered questions of the books, or you're just looking for the show that isn't structured around rereading the books, or maybe all of the above, The Weed of Time is for you, and we're happy to have you around. Bleh. Now, I considered, going in their vein and getting stoned before I read that, but I had a hard enough time reading it anyway because I'm not exactly the brightest person in the world. But please go check them out. They're fantastic. I really do think they're great, and they're a good laugh if you want to listen to them there too. So, thank you all for sticking with me this far and watching the video. I will mention that my Twitter is down in the description box. Please follow me on Twitter. I'm going to put out polls for the new contest, as well as I put out some Wheel of Time content, daily, sometimes bi-weekly, weekly, depends on how often I'm on Twitter, really. And my Facebook page is also linked down there as well. It's fairly new, but a lot of the content that I put out will be featured there as well. All right, thank you all so much for sticking with me, and here's to many more.